Donald, Rand, and Sarah, they're all here fired up and ready to bring America back from the brink of liberal, progressive failure. If you love your country and your freedom, pull up a chair, put down that remote. We're talking life, liberty, and the pursuit of conservative values. I'm Eric Bowling. Welcome to a special edition of Cashin' In. Our Cashin' In crew will be back next week. We begin today with the headliner of this week's Freedom Summit, the one, the only, the Donald. All right, Mr. Trump, the Freedom Summit, we're having a little Freedom Summit of our own. To get America back on track, what do we need? What does Donald Trump think we need to do?
Well, one thing in particular, leadership. It's pretty simple. We don't have leadership. We don't have a good leader at the top. We're being scoffed at all over the world. You look at what's going on with Putin all of a sudden. He's gotten his oats, and he's doing numbers like nobody's done in a long while. And it's very sad. But what you need more than anything else, Eric, is leadership.
Who would be the leader? President Obama's going to leave. What's the right leadership? What's the right group? Who's the right person?
Well, you're going to see. First of all, you have the elections coming up, which are going to be very interesting in 2014. And that's going to be, November is going to be a very interesting month because I think the Republicans really have a good chance at taking the Senate. It's going to be interesting. It's not going to be that easy. But if they play Obamacare, and I will tell you it's such a disaster that if they go with the Obamacare thing, I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win easily. And then after that...
Oh, you mean the Senate?
The Senate,
yeah.
Right. I mean, I think that they're going to win the Senate. I think the Republicans will take the Senate, and I think they'll take it maybe a lot more easily than a lot of people are even thinking. And we'll see what happens. But a lot of that's going to be because of what's happened with Obamacare. And I think because of the lack of respect that the country gets. The voters are seeing that. And then after that, we'll see what happens.
Oh, that's what I want to get to. Of the GOP, who's the leader? Is there a leader?
Well, I know them all, and it doesn't really matter who the leader is because it's so long. You know, we're talking 2.5 years, so it's really irrelevant right now because we see the leaders, and then all of a sudden they're gone. But, I mean, you have a lot of good people running, and it's going to be interesting. And you probably have some that you don't know are running, and we'll see what happens with them. So
you're
got a long way to go.
You're headlining the Freedom Summit with a couple of maybe leaders, Ted Cruz and Rand Paul, so I assume they're probably in that group. You mentioned Obamacare. The new issue of the New Yorker magazine, the cover, has a caricature. President Obama, the adult, is spoon-feeding the GOP, and he's got Mitch McConnell taking his medicine. He's got Michelle Bachmann, he's got Ted Cruz, and he's got John Boehner as little kids. Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's a very sad cover. Not so, by the way, but it's a very, very sad cover. And if you think about it, he has gotten his way because he has gotten Obamacare. They've made so many illegal changes to Obamacare to make it, you know, help it along. It's still going to fall of its own weight because people are going wild with this thing. They're not, you know, they're just having nothing but problems, and businesses are going out of business. So it's going to fall at some point. But if you think about it, he has gotten it through, amazingly. But I thought the cover was very, very demeaning.
Okay. Should the GOP take their medicine?
Well, I think the GOP should just be fighting it and fighting it very strongly. And if they get the Senate, and then if they get the presidency, which would be a big help, I mean, then I believe it ends. I think Obamacare would end. And you get a better plan for far less money.
All right, so we talked a little bit about this before the interview. I want to throw some names at you. Give me one quick thought about the name,
okay,
and then I want to ask the question behind it. So let's start with Barack Obama.
Well, you have to give him credit. He became president of the United States, but it hasn't worked out. It hasn't been good for the country, and the country is not doing well.
Okay, so here we are, middle of April. Is it time to declare the Obama presidency a lame duck? Can we move on now?
Well, it's getting to be lame duck. I mean, and that's not because of him. I mean, it's just at that point where it's getting to be. But he will try and get out there, and now he's trying to cause a little trouble with women and with this group and with that group and every group you can. And let's see what happens, and let's see how the Republicans handle it. But you have to give him credit in one sense, but in the other sense, he has not been the president that we were all hoping we would have.
Very good. Next name, Hillary Clinton.
I know her very well, and it'll be very interesting to see whether or not she runs. I know her husband. In fact, her husband was on one of the shows. He said, I like Donald Trump, and he's a good golfer. So, I mean, I can't really knock that. I know them both very well, and I like Hillary. I've always liked Hillary, and we have to see what they are going to be doing. I won't comment on her status as how she did as Secretary of State because it's irrelevant right now. But I will tell you that I've known her for a long time.
Good friend of mine, probably a friend of yours as well, Charles Krauthammer says it's in the Clintons' DNA to run for president. Thoughts?
Well, I agree with him. I think she'll be running. And lots of things can happen to anybody, health and many, many things. So a lot of things, it's a long time, it's 2.5 years. But I would say that she will definitely be running.
Next name, Jeb Bush.
I didn't like I like him, but I didn't like his last statement about, people are breaking the law and coming in and immigration because of love. I thought it was a very unusual statement. And, a country has to have borders, and you have to maintain those borders, and you have to maintain them strongly, and you can't break the law. And it wasn't love, it was lots of other reasons, but they did. And I was very surprised at his statement. I didn't like his statement.
And the question about Jeb Bush, did his act of love, illegals can say, he called it an act of love, did that ruin his chances for 2016?
Well, it didn't help. A lot of people are very upset. When I first heard it, I thought he's being serious here. I didn't understand what he was doing, and yet he's being true to himself. And you have to be true to yourself. Eric, you can't just go out and say a lot of things if you're not believing. He's being true to himself, but I thought it was an incorrect statement that he made.
Next name, Chris Christie.
Know him very well. He's a friend of mine, and he was up in my office recently, and, I like him so much.
That's it?
I mean, we have to see how it all turns out.
Okay, so
I think he's going to be.
The question about Christie, is Bridgegate in his rearview mirror, or can it still upend his chances in 2016?
Well, you don't know. Look, I had a very honest talk with him. I mean, he has this problem, and it's a cloud, and he's a great guy. And, again, I know him very well, and it's going to be very interesting to see. They have a lot of different people looking at a lot of different things. What are all these people going to say when it's their time to be speaking? I hope he's going to be okay. I think he's going to be okay, but I hope he's going to be okay.
All right, last name, Vladimir Putin.
Well, he's done an amazing job of taking the mantle, and he's taken it away from the president. And you look at what he's doing, and so smart. When you see the riots in a country because they're hurting the Russians, okay, we'll go and take it over. And he's really going step by step by step, and you have to give him a lot of credit. Interestingly, on the Miss Universe pageant, we just left Moscow. He could not have been nicer. He was so nice and so everything. But you have to give him credit that what he's doing for that country in terms of their world prestige is very strong.
Last thought, who's the better leader, President Obama or President Putin?
Well, it's not even a contest at this point. It's not. Now, Obama can maybe come back and maybe something happens, but so far he has played Obama like a fiddle.
So tell me a little bit about Celebrity Apprentice. Now, I hear a friend of mine, Geraldo Rivera, may be involved in that.
He is involved. He's doing a great job thus far. And, we haven't announced the cast, but everybody knows the cast. It's been like, this is the worst kept secret
since the White House.
But Geraldo is in there, and he's pitching, and he's working hard. He's got tremendous stamina.
He's a very bright guy.
He is.
Now, if it wasn't going to be me, Mr. Trump, it should be Geraldo.
It could be you. It'll happen.
One of these days. I hear there's rumors that you bought a post office.
Well, we're going to be redeveloping what's called the old post office on Pennsylvania Avenue, right between Congress and the White House. It's so incredible. And we start that work in about a month, and it'll be one of the great hotels of the world. It's an incredible building. It's about the tallest, or one of the tallest buildings in Washington, because in the old days they didn't have zoning. So it's just an amazing building. Everybody wanted it. We got it, and we're going to do a great job.
Very good. Donald Trump, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eric.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.